Islamism. Having some technical difficulties, but you know what? That's just the way it goes, and we'll get through this too. So please open up your Quran questionnaire for Moorish Americans, and we will stick to that. I did have something planned really, really good, and I hope I can. I hope it goes off for it without any more hitches. Let me first open up and give all praise to Allah. I'll give you all praise and glory, Allah. Thank you, Father God, Allah, for making us. Thank you for making me. Love you, Father God, Allah. I want to give honors to the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali for delivering us, for making us ourselves again, by delivering the everlasting gospel sent from Allah so that we can redeem ourselves from our sinful ways, which is being ignorant to our forefathers' national and divine creed. I want to give honors to Marcus Garvey, the forerunner of the prophet. I want to give honors to Emily Eel, our supreme grand sheikh, and I want to give honors to every single thing Moorish. Our Holy Quran, the Moorish Science Temple of America, our Quran questionnaire for Moorish Americans, our divine constitution and bylaws for the Moorish Science Temple of America. And I want to give you honors for showing up on your Sunday school. I want to give honors to all the nationalities of the world, worshiping the great God under their divine victory. Praise Allah. Today's lecture, our Sunday school, we'll be dealing directly out of our Quran questionnaire. We're going to be dealing for the next 6 months in genealogy of who we are. It's going to take about 6 months for me to run through this. So prepare yourselves. You know, I'm not going fast, but I'm going to go, you know, just try to give it a really good presentation so we can get a better understanding. I'm only drawing information from our corpus, the Quran, the questionnaire, and the divine constitution, and then everything that points to from there. So if the prophet speaks about Canaanites, then I'm going to go dive into the Canaanite understanding and bring that back. All right. So we want to look at this because from a point of view of our stuff or our historical record of our genealogy and our divine creed without any other, without anybody else's point of view of it. What I mean by that is, we're going to use facts that are out there and things that are out there to explain, although we're perfectly explaining it from the prophet's point of view, from what came from us, not trying to, you know, deny anybody else's thing or say someone else's thing is wrong. No, we're holding up what our divine creed and our historical genealogy and record says. And we're standing on that with truth. Too many times do we argue with people when there's no need to. So praise Allah, this is my goal within the next few months here to present to you our genealogy purely from a Moorish American point of view, as the prophet did by giving us the Quran questionnaires for Moorish Americans. Okay, so praise Allah, and we shall be gotten here. Let's open up to the Quran questionnaire for, let's go to number 17. And it says, what is our religion? Islamism. All right. And it says, is that a new or is that an old time religion? Old time religion. So important to understand that part. I was just skip over that. Oh, Islam, you know, yeah, I got it. Islam, you know, 5 years and love, truth, and justice, and you know. But old time religion is very important because it's the original. It is that pure part of religion, right? It is the untainted part where then we can get the better outcome because of the deception that has been put down on us from the cause of mental slavery. Mental slavery is brainwashing. Okay, someone has taken the truth. Someone's taken some false realities that what seems to be, as is spoken about in our Quran, you know, lies. You know, two things in existence: falsehood and truth. And the falsehood is that what seems to be, and they've implanted this seems to be reality within the concepts of our mind, so that our conscious reality, we're perceiving those particular implants, all right, those particular nodes of illusions, right, that we are battling within our own consciousness with the truth in us, trying to uphold something. This is why we struggle here, because we're trying to uphold lies. We're trying to uphold false realities or false truths, little white lies, they say. Right? When the pure record, if we would just uphold the pure record that came from Prophet Noor Ali, then it would then heal the mental slavery, and thus begin to heal your life, because your life is only in chaos because ones are trying to live in an illusionary reality in reality. Okay, that brings about cancer. Just like when you put things in your body that your body's not designed to absorb and to utilize for its best outcome, such as quimazine, theroline, you know what I'm saying, and all these fluorines and things that they put into the water, right? Over abundance of not trying to detox from that will cause cancer. It's the same thing when you're not trying to detox from the mental slavery that has been given to you. You will cause cancers in your life, and they will come out, okay, within your habitual communication and things of this to other people. And then this looks like it looks like chaos. It looks like a dysfunctional family. It looks like baby mama and baby daddy, when that's no such thing. But we've taken these illusions that to mean family. And we've gotten comfortable saying those particular things and living that type of way, because without the knowledge itself, you do live into this illusion. And it goes into your very nature and everything that we do. So it's so important that we study our record so that we can get back the character of what the record is presenting, which is the battle sword that you use to cut the head off of your lower self within your own consciousness. Okay, so it says here, you know, the old time religion, what kind of flag, let's move 19, what kind of flag is the Moorish? It is a red flag with the 5-pointed green star in the center. To have a flag, you know, means a lot. You know, if we were some jungle bunny booty scratchers or something, as they want you to believe, you know what I'm saying, digging boogers out our nose and just sitting around in the plains of Africa, you know, thumping beats on some animal skins, then we wouldn't need a flag. A flag says civilization. A flag says that there are rules, regulations, and law. And it is a notice to other people that this flag represents a group of people and a particular determination of civilization and way of life. So when we fly this flag, know that come in this territory, you're going to be up under these particular rules and regulations. Flags are only used for people who have civilization. Somebody living in the cave don't need no flag.
Wow.
Right? So what do the 5 points represent? Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Now that's an old time religion with an old time flag. How old? How old? Our flag. How old is our flag? It is over 10,000 years old. That's right. So that means the flag is over 10,000 years old. That means the civilization. That means the people's over 10,000 years old. That means 10,000 years ago, we had a point of civilization where we felt that we needed to have a flag that has specific representation, which means conscious development of mathematics and symbolisms that go to relate to the world to express who you are. Now, all of that doesn't need somebody, like I'm saying, living in a teepee. Don't need no flag living in a teepee. I need a spear and a bow and arrow so I can go hunt some buffalo. Heck, I need a flag for. See? All right. So what is our holy day? Friday. Well, then that means Friday back then was holy. This is old time religion. It's 10,000 years old plus. That flag and everything was flying on a Friday. We was going and having worship services on a Friday.
That's wild.
10,000 years, all the way up into the point, say of let's 1492, or up into the point of where we chased after the gods of Europe. 10,000 years, all the way back, which is about the time when the great separation of the land masses happened, of Atlantis. And as the prophet tells us, our dominion and inhabitation went across, which means that we lived. It's like when you going somewhere, oh man, go across Atlantis, go see the homies over there on Avenue Atlantis 26, you know, go holler at moms, and then keep on going until you hit, you know, East Africa on that side, and then go take the Nile River, and then, you know what I'm saying, jump on there and you're gonna hit the Nile. Then when you go over there, make sure you talk to our cousins and tell them, you know, how's the energy plant doing in Egypt. Yeah. But he tells you we drudge the Niles. So if we drudged it, that means we have boats. And if we drudge the Nile, that means we have technology. Who in the world drudges a Nile 25,000 miles long without technology, without mathematics, without some type of conscious development of civilization? But we be over here listening to this false reality GMO incubator dude want to tell us about who we are, and then we get mad when they don't, you know, recognize you. Who's the crazy ones around here? Your flag 10,000 years old, and you still worrying about what he's saying? This dude ain't even 6,000 years old. And you can't get out of the tyranny of a dude that's barely on the scene, that's barely got here. He done got you so wrapped up with your 10,000 year DNA that you can't dig down deep and then do the things necessary to overcome this. Now, who are you? Are you really that weak? Your DNA is wrapped 48 times more, 10,000 years more stronger than anyone who can't beef after that. You have been on the planet with more diseases, more things in the air. You have breathed in all pandemics, and they not bothering you. You have come to be in a symbiotic relationship here on this planet. The only time you got out is when you chase after the gods of Europe, and then you start catching diseases and everything else. How did I get there? My bad. Why? Because of Friday is the holy day. Excuse me, Friday is the day on which man was formed in flesh. Are you peeping that? And you wonder why your holy day is on a Friday. But you didn't peep together that the first man was formed in flesh. And then he tells you again, because Friday is the day in which man was formed in flesh. Man being the spirit, man having no beginning and having no ending, but finite mind can't comprehend things infinite. But you're listening to an infinite mindset of a dude that tells you that you can't think your way out of a paper bag. He gonna hit you with Corona, and now you shaking in your boots. What we do next? Trump, just sit here and keep shaking? You know, you just jumped on the scene, but I've been around for 10,000 years, but you know better than me. Because Friday is the day on which man, the spirit man, went into flesh. And it was on a Friday when spirit man, when there's death is no enemy to man, decide to depart. Friday is the day in which the prophet Ali was born 1886 on a January 8th. And he departed July 19th, 1929 on a Friday to let you know he was first man. But you didn't peep that. You didn't peep that. You didn't see first man come back. Huh?
Islam.
He's been coming back. He been coming back every 2,000 years to make sure that the children of Allah are sacred. Why? Because it was written in your sacred books, but you don't want to go read your sacred books of El or Thoth or all these particular emerald tablets that speak about your divine history and what's to come. But we sure want to tell me about the last sports You sure got statistics from here to New York on how they play basketball from 1979 until now, and how the shorts changed. You know, they were short, really short when Kareem was playing. Then they got a little longer, and that happened on the statistical day of 1726. And whoopty wop wop wop, and it was on third day, and he hit the shot from a half-point line. I mean, my God. You can quote every rap song from here to New York, but you can't even quote your own divine history in Canaan.
Islam.
And you think why we broke around here, why we ain't got nothing, why we struggling? Because you steadily chasing after the illusions saw on TV. You saw these ideals on TV, an idiot box that you couldn't even create, but you chasing after the very ideal on there. But you did create the idiot. You did create that, but you forgot. And you allowed them to steal the history and to make you think that you didn't create nothing. And that's why you're a beggar. Please, boss, can I have a little bit more? A little bit more of what? I don't know. I don't invent nothing. So anything. Tired of this, man. I'm real tired. Tired of having the most divine record on the planet and still people want to be a beggar nation. See, I'm mixing a few things here. So anyway, praise Allah, honor to the prophet. I know that's not you. And when I say I'm tired, you know dang well I'm not talking about y'all on this line. You know I'm not. Okay? I'm talking to the conscious lower self sometimes that we all have, that we need to beat back so that we can become the ideal of Drew Ali. Come out right. He brought back the ideal. In other words, God brought back that divine thing that we need. God being the ruler of the land, who's the only ruler of the land here but Drew Ali. You better go read your nationality card. You know, we honor all, you know. May the blessings of the God of our Father Allah be upon you. Scared to call Drew Ali God. But you walking around talking about you God. But you sure scared to say he God. When he tell you it means purity. Purity means right means ruler of the land, these things. And you know, he was the most purest brother to come up on the scene. We worship Allah. There's nothing wrong with honoring. By doing the very thing that you need to do to save your life. So we as Moroccans, you know, we have a way. We are not the way in which the devil put a European psychology in your head. We are angels who have the holy and everlasting gospel sent, this saving power sent from Allah through our Holy Father by his prophet. Our Holy Father being first man, the first perfected man in the sight of Allah. That holy and divine Father has been coming back. So number 41, what is the everlasting gospel? It is a saving power that comes from Allah through our ancient father, our ancient father, not Holy Father, our ancient father, through his prophet. So praise Allah. Let's go look at him. Let's go check us out. Y'all want to go look at this?
Pastor, you need to shut down. We go shut your church down. Guess what the pastor did? He shut it down. He didn't go pray to God, to Jesus, and say, oh Lord, what do I do? Do I hold the church open for the faithful? No, they shut down just like the liquor store, just like everybody else.
Tell them, Mo. Isn't that something?
I'm just saying, isn't that something?
And you supposed to be, how the church shut down and these ones shut down and they supposed to be up under the Constitution and when the right of religion.
What happened to right of religion? Where they right of religion at? I don't see it.
Teach, Mo. Teach, Mo.
Go on, Mo.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just had to say it. I had to say it. I had to put it out there. Why
Man,
the
put it
church
out
shut
there.
down like everybody else? We
Yeah.
still going though. They didn't shut us
You know,
down. It's not.
I, I wish they would, boy, I don't wish they would try, but I tell you like this, they need to, man, we're good. And they're going to do what they have to do. And everything I was thinking the other day, even though I be banging on Rome, because it's all we, I don't have no nuclear bombs, y'all. All I have is us to do what we got to do and our prayers and stuff. But I'm going to say something because, ain't nobody just going to push up on us. So we got to say things. I have to make public announcements right now. And, but one thing about it is we can't say, when me, Adams, L, and Hardister, and a few of the other Moors step up to hit the government up, man, they have not denied us yet, y'all. When? Name one time. Can anybody name one time where the government, when we put our stuff down, and they're like, nah. So it's a very good sign to know that. It's these other things out here, though, these corporations with them. It's kind of crazy. Okay, so we are recording. I hope we're still recording. And oh wow, I better do this. I turn this one off.
Islam, I just want to say, don't forget about the mosques.
Right. What happened to them? Why am I over here?
They're Vatican property, that's why.
I wonder if I had a pastor, I'd be like, Pastor, what's up, man? You following the president? And God, what's up? Did God say close the church? Or
Hey, can y'all still hear me?
Islam, yes, sir.
Islam.
Okay. Ooh. Give me a second, everyone. I'm telling you, this is not a. All right. Okay. Can y'all hear me over here? Let me turn you up over here. Can y'all hear me? One more time.
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Now we can.
Got an echo, but we can hear you.
Oh, y'all got a little echo? Okay, hold on. Echo off.
I think it went away.
Did it go away?
I don't hear it anymore.
Okay, I'll try to turn it down the other one. Okay, so let's begin here. All right, so praise Allah, honor to the prophet started a little rough, but hey, here's what it is. It's Sunday school, and this is how we get down. So we're going to start here with this academic of genealogy of the Moorish Americans from the Garden of Eden to the millenarian, 50,000 years ago to 19. Any misspelled anything, let me know, and I will better. Praise Allah. Here, the first picture you're getting there, and okay, you're not seeing that. All right, so the first picture you're kind of seeing there, that is your ancestor, Baal, right? Also known as the storm god or Baal, and they mispronounce his name as Baal to throw you off. Now, vowels are interchangeable, and you can go find this in the student manual, right? Earthly Salvation under Moorish, and where it gives the etymology of Baal and Bay and El. So we know that Baal is really Baal, which means the son of El. All right, and we're going to kind of look at all that and go over it. All right. All right, so the next slide here, we're only going to really cover one, and hopefully we'll get to two. Now, this is a little bit of what I showed last time about the Civil War discussion, but I've added way more. And so we're going to go through that, hopefully to get you, as I say, to the players in the houses. I really want to show you what's going on and who we are. Okay? Let's start here. So I can read it. Let's move here. Okay. All right, so still got some right here. Okay, so let me put my glasses on. And as you please pull out your Quran and pull out your questionnaire, because we're going to be going through it from these point of view. All right. And really, hopefully to stay on target here. And it's 12:32. I don't really want to go any past 2:40. Right, and then we'll make them a lot shorter. The next. So it says here. All right. So it says here, Holy Quran, the More Scientific of America, page 3. The industrious acts of the Muslims of Northwest and Southwest Africa. These are the Moabites, Hamathites, and Canaanites who were driven out of the land of Canaan by Joshua and received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle in that portion of Egypt. In later years, they formed themselves kingdoms. These kingdoms are called this day Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, etc. Now, the etc. or etc. means or equals Mexico, Andalusia, Fez, Marrakesh, okay, New Spain, right? So chapter 47, now in chapter 47, verse 3 to 7, as his father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominions of a Mexico. Dominions meaning government, right? The first true and divine name of Africa. The dividing of the land between the father and the son. The dominion of, and now I'm kind of paraphrasing here within the chapter. It says, and northwest, so the dominion of Ham, right? And northwest and southwest was his father's Ham's dominion. The dominion or the empire and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across the Great Atlantis. Look at that, right? So we're in the northwest, in the southwest was his father's dominion, and across the Great Atlantis, also the present north, south, now he's coming back, north, south, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands before the great earthquake, which caused the Great Atlantic Ocean. So there, that last part there, where he says the northwest and the southwest. Right, well, we know that's in America. There's only, like I said the other day, all you have to do is go and ask Google, Oracle, Google, where's the northwest and southwest? They're going to pull up America, right? And so these were his father's dominion, right? And then he tells us too, our dominion and inhabitation. Now he's speaking about the Moabites extended from northeast and southwest, okay, across the Great Atlantis. Then he kind of pauses there with a comment. He says, also the present, now coming back, so he coming from over here and then across the Great Atlantis. They tell us that now he's coming back. He says also the present North, South, Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands before the great earthquake, which caused the Atlantic Ocean. Some would say, well, he mentioned America there. Why did he say America when you're saying Northwest Africa, right? Because, it's a code word. And you got to let it unfold on you with your geography, okay? So the end of time and the fulfilling of the prophecies. The last prophet in these days is Noble Ali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways, who was to bring the true and divine. Is this thing still recording? I hope so. Who was able to bring the true and divine creed of Islam, and his name is Noble Ali. Somebody let me know if this thing is recording. Look on the thing and see if it says still recording.
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you. And it's sent to this earth, right, by Allah to teach the old time religion, which means the pre-reset time, and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men. That every nation shall and must worship under their own mind and victory, and return to their own and be one with their Father. All right, so the end of time filling of the prophecies, we're dealing with revelations, are what is also known as the millenarian. I've been speaking on this, but we're going to go into it a little bit. Millenarian. The millenarian offers a version of the fundamental eschatological belief that there will be a time of peace a time of judgment and an everlasting state. At the end of time, the end or the end time, God will judge the living and resurrect the dead, in providing solace for the suffering of countless generations of believers, Jews, Christians, Muslims, and Buddhists. In other words, everybody in all those religions believed in the millenarium, that there will be peace, there will be a judgment, and then there'll be an everlasting state. So Jesus, Muhammad, and Confucius, meaning that we honor all those particular religions, says on our divine, our nationality card. Although its name comes from the 1,000-year period, meaning the millenarium, mentioned in Revelations to John. Millenarianism is primarily concerned with the earthly nature of the coming new world. Abrahamic religions such as Islam teaches that there will be a resurrection of the dead that will be followed by a final tribulation and an eternal division of the righteous and the wicked. Islamic apocalyptic literature describing Armageddon is often known as Fitna, El Malhama, and El Kubra, are the Great Massacre, or the Ghayabath in Sharia Islam. The righteous are rewarded with the pleasures of heaven, or while the unrighteous are punished with God. Okay. So when we're looking at the end of time, right, we're obviously doing our holy and divine prophet Noble Drew Ali. Divine instructions from the holy prophet Noble Drew Ali, thinking about the end times in 1929, where he reads the warning. Islam, this is the instructions from your prophet Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on, but the weak can comprehend it not. He said that in 1929, letting you know that the judgment time is on. Not the one previous of the millenarian when things was cool. No, judgment time, where all the wicked and the righteous will be judged since the beginning. You understand? That's how big, what time we're at. All right. And a new eternal state will come about because after this straight judgment. So this is what we're in right now, and we're at the end of it. So in your Holy Quran, the Moorish Science Temple of America, right? Number 53, if you want to turn there, you can. It says, where is the Garden of Eden? In the land of Canaan, in the city of Mecca. The Holy Quran of the Moorish Science of America, chapter 47, the inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. According to all true and divine records of the human race, all inhabitants of Africa, America, were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the Holy Land of Canaan. Now let's go look at this Holy Land. Let's go look at this, because the prophet tells us a lot who we are, you guys. He's given us a record about the Garden of Eden. And when we look at our Quran questionnaire, not only does it give you a record of where the Garden of Eden is, but he begins to speak about the first part that was formed there. Then he actually tells you who did that, if you pay attention. Okay, who did that forming? Then he goes on to tell you in your divine lessons that you, Moabite, played a huge part in the establishment of the city of Mecca. You were the founder. Go look. So the dominions in the lands of Canaan, even unto the Red Sea. So what you're looking at here, and oh, you won't be able to hear. Let's see if I can't get a little pen action going. A little penny pen. All right, so I hope you guys can see that. You see this little red mark?
Wow.
All righty. All right, so I'm making a circle around that circle. All right, so what you're looking at, and I'll make another one here where this one's at. You're looking at maps. Maps are, you know, a map is there, it tells 1,000 words. If you really understand your science of cartography, you can really miss what they're saying on a lot of things by simply looking at the geographical locations and missing the names and looking at the landmass and understanding what you're looking at. All right, so what we're looking at is what they're calling the North Pole. And they're going to tell you that there's nothing up there, and that's not. We have all the old maps to tell you there was a huge land masses up there, huge, okay? And so the outer circle coming in here, right? So I'm going to make a little arrow. I'm going to do my make an arrow. All right, so this outer circle coming in, and this land mass that you see in between here all the way into the water, well, that's Canaan. Okay, all of this, all the way around, is Canaan. And as you can see, Canaan stretches in Asia, and they have Russia right there, but in Europe, well, actually, Europe was correct, but Russia and Asia were one. And this is where people were speaking about the holy lands of Asia and all of that. Well, yeah, and the Garden of Eden was in Asia. All this is Asia up there. And you get going towards the left. I'm going to circle it right now. This part, if you can read that, it says California. Hold on. Here. Here. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but it says California. All right, that's California, which means Canada, or they're giving you an idea. That's what we would consider Alaska. So all of this, let me go back to my little penny pin here. So this right over here is this is Alaska, and this would be what is known as Russia today, or Asia. And so you can get over here real simple, or get over there. And it's also known as the Bering Straits of Annie. All right, so let me. All right, so how do I do this? Oh, perfect. Okay, so when you're looking here at Mount Meru, all right, let me get my little. Okay. All right, so see this right here? How many rivers came out of the Garden of Eden? Anybody?
4.
Right. So this is a representation also of your circle 7. It's a map.
Looks just like it, Mo. Looks just like it.
It's a map. Your circle 7 is a map to get you back home. Okay, and it also divides your land, and it tells you who you are on your land. It's an ancient symbol. Okay, it's all this over here. I done messed up Lord Inky's hell's head. My bad. I didn't mean to scratch his head over there, y'all. Let me get rid of that. What did I use? You know what I'm saying? That's our ancestor right there. We don't want to be all messing up. All right, anyway, so coming back over here, what you're looking at over here, right, is the side right here. I don't know if you guys saw the video I put up, but I showed you the first pygmy. And right here, it says pygmies, okay? And this is where they get the story of Greenland and Europe, of your little leprechauns and all that, right? And it came down from Greenland and the little, Ireland is all up in here, and it's where the leprechauns come from. But this entire landmass is still up there, all right? And it's actually been devoid of ice for a while, and they hide this is because a lot of things are going up there. In the corner over here, this island is where they control the weather from. And this thing right up here, if I had the other map, right, it would tell you what it says, and it says they control the weather. All right. So, and I'm going to show you who they're speaking out. So over here is where the Tartarians of Asia, known as the Mongols, are known as, our brothers that came from Asia into the Holy Lands. As the Prophet Ali says, our brothers from the Holy Lands joined them, the Hittites, the Canaanites, and the Amorites, right? Well, some of them came over here from this part, and then they came down into California, right? And they came down the California way. Let me get rid of this. And we'll move on to the next one. You guys see that? Any questions on that or anything? I can go back. No? You guys still with me here? I still got everybody with me? 19, all right. So number 53.
Islam.
So there's going to be a little reading here, you guys. Not a lot of pictures all the time. We got to do a little thinking, okay? So our Quran questionnaire for Moorish Americans, number 53. Where is the Garden of Eden? In the land of Canaan, city of Mecca. Now, who is El? I showed you his picture earlier. This is El. We're here to the right. It says the Canaanite god El. Now, are we not Canaanites?
Yes,
Anybody?
sir.
Okay, who holds the L as their last name title?
Moors.
Anybody? I mean, right now though, which one on the line? Anybody got an L, such as Richardson L, such as Adam L, such as Brother Shepherd's L? Okay, that is where your name comes from. Our ancient God or father, right, is El. And as you can see, he's a Canaanite god wearing the Egyptian at 10 because they were before the Egyptians. And as the prophet tells us, somebody had to go and drudge the Nile. He said the great pharaoh of Egypt. You're looking at one of them. All right, let's move on. All right, so it says, now who is El? And why is he even mentioned in the Bible or your Quran in the first place, let alone as the God of Israel in the older literary traditions of Genesis? Our knowledge of El predominantly comes from our holy divine prophet Nabi Ali. In the year of the prophet's ascension on a Friday in other parts of the world, an invaluable corpus of tablets discovered in 1929 in the ancient city of Ugrade, a major city-state of the second millennium BC, located on the northern coast of Syria, modern-day Ras Shamara. The Ugrade tablets are an available witness to the Canaanite religion and religious practices, and thus also to the background from which the religion of Israel emerged, and to the Canaanites' belief that it shared, adopted, compromised with, and sometimes rejected. Great literature depicts El as the sovereign deity of the Canaanite pantheon. He is frequently referred to as the father of the gods, the eternal king, and the creator of all living beings. El's other epithets include El, the kind, the compassionate, the bull, the ageless one, and the father of years. He is depicted as bearded and resting in a tent or a tabernacle whose throne rests on a cherub. He is the God of blessings and of covenants. Many of these epithets and images later became assimilated to Yahweh. For example, hold on real quick, everyone. For example, Yahweh is often depicted as bearded, as a king, as compassionate, and as residing in a tent whose throne, like that of El, rests on the cherub. There are, in addition, all right, and this thing is in my way, there are, in addition to the numerous El epithets in the various strains of the biblical tradition, epithets that through a process of assimilation and adaptation later became associated with Yahweh. We have already encountered El Shadi, meaning El of the mountain, like Yahweh, who is associated with the mountains of Sinai and later in Ecclesiastes, forgot how to pronounce that word. Eschakliako. Anyway, I just butchered that. Traditions with Zion, so too El resides on a mountain. Other patriarchal narratives attest to the use of El of Olam, or El the Eternal, to whom Abraham plants and worships a tree at Beersheba. Elion, El the Most High, the God of Melchizedek, Genesis 14:18-24, and El Roy, El who sees, Genesis 16:13. These various El epithets are associated with different shrines. El Shadi with Bet El and the Most High, the creator of the heavens and the earth, while with Jerusalem, El the Eternal, with Beersheba, El who sees with Ber Lahai,
Lahari Roy, and El, the god of Israel, with Shechem. Many of these shrines and altars to El were established by the patriarchs themselves. You can see in Genesis 23, 33, 28, 18, 33, 20, and 35, 14. It has also been suggested that the name Yahweh might have originally been a cultic epithet of El. The etymology of Yahweh is still but still under consideration. But one proposal is to see it as the causative imperfect of the Canaanite pro, so Hebrew verb or to be. Okay, I know this is I know reading gets people a little, oh God, we're reading. Well, it's okay. Be able to read. Nothing wrong with reading. With reading, then you're probably gonna have an issue saving your life. All right, so let's look at these here. So the first people we're looking at here to the left is Ishtar. Another word for her is Diana. Another word is Isis. Okay. So the next one in the center is Baal, or Baal, also known as Marduk. The first one you see is the storm god Baal when he was Baal. The next one is Marduk, and he's with his brother Tahu. Okay, so these are the sons of El. So and then you have El sitting on the throne in another picture, wearing the fez, which we know as the Baal fez, right, or the Canaanite fez, and that's actually a representation. All right, and these are the gods of the Canaanite, the gods of Canaanites, and these gods are very important ancestors. All right, so the hidden accounts of El from the secret books of Thoth, republished in the Moorish American Scholar 2015, which you can pick up, says one who had been an eyewitness to all those events, meaning how Earth came about. Indeed, a key participation in them was the leader who had splashed down with the first group of astronauts. At that time, his evident name was E, also El, he whose home is water. He experienced the disproportion of having command of Earth mission given to his half-brother and rival Enlil, our Lord of the Command. A humiliation little mitigated by granting him the title Enki, which means Lord of the Earth, regulated away from the cities of the gods and their spaceport in the Eden to supervise the mining of gold in the Apsu, or Southeast Africa. Now that is South Africa. It was Enki, or E or El, a great scientist who came across the hominoids 450,000 years later, who inhabited those parts of Africa. And so when the Anunnaki toiling in the gold mines mutinied and said no more, it was he who realized that the needed manpower could be attained by jumping the gun on evolution through genetic engineering, and thus did the atom, literally he of the earth, or earthling, come into being. He is where we get earth from, and it's also where we get genealogy from, or the genes of E. Y'all still with me?
Islam.
Right.
Islam.
So the firstborn of Anu.
Islam. Thank you for taking us to our true history, our true gods. Not the ones we was told to during slavery. You taking it right back. We Canaanites. If we Canaanites, we should understand this and stop playing more.
Stop playing. And all that. And see, you're right, Mo. If we would know our own history, it answers what all the mysteries are out there. Everybody want to know about it. If the Nibiru's real, or the Anunnaki, or this and that. Are we real? Are we the ancient Canaanites?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So once we understand that, the myth goes away. You ain't gotta be like, listen to other people. I don't believe. You don't believe in your own stuff? Your ancient fathers say about El, Anunnaki, and all these ones coming from different areas and different planets, running the whole galaxy, and came here and Well, the Father created us, and then did other genetic manipulations to create these other particular things to get it cracking here. Now, we came from procreation. I don't know where they came from. Here we go. It says the firstborn son of Anu, Nibiru's ruler, or Enki or El, was well versed in his planet Nibiru and its inhabitants past. An accomplished scientist, he bequeathed the most important aspects of the advanced knowledge of the Anunnaki, especially to his two sons, Murdoch or Baal, and Ninhursag, who happens to be Thoth, who as Egyptian gods were known as Ra or Baal or Ra or Murdoch and Thoth, respectively. But he also was instrumental in sharing with mankind certain aspects of such advanced knowledge by teaching to selected individuals the secrets of the gods. In at least 2 instances, such initiates wrote down, as they were instructed to do, those divine teachings as mankind's heritage. One called Adapa or Noah, and probably a son of Enki, yes he was, by a human female, this is true, is known to have written a book titled The Writing Regarding Time, one of the earliest lost books. The other, called the Enuma Duranki, was in all probability the prototype of the biblical Enoch, the one who was taken up to heaven after he had entrusted to his sons the book of divine secrets, and of which a version has possibly survived in the text, in the extra biblical books of Enoch. Okay? So in other words, Enki, being Lord on Nibiru at one time, they were sent here. But due to the fact he was in his half brother Enlil, who was the firstborn of Anu with the bloodline of his one of the sisters. Right now, Enki being the firstborn of Anu, but with what do they call those? His corner, his not his wife, or it's like his. Anybody want to help me out here? His cohorts, not cohorts.
Concubine?
There you go. Thank you so much. Concubine. Bird. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that's how they came about, and a couple of rivals came down. You can read that in history. All right. So this right here, what we're looking at. I better get out my pen again. All right, so this is the path of Nibiru. All right, so over here, this 2016, this was a model that somebody put together, an estimate in 2015, and all that. Now, actually, this is wrong. This little 2016, that actually should be over here at around 22, 2022. But anyway, so what we have is Nibiru coming from the southern plains, all right, of the outer solar system. And every 3,300 or 3,000 years, it comes in through our vicinity, right, and crosses our path, right up in here. I should get a better in. I mean, something we see here.
Islam, is that bright star you see at night when it gets dark out?
Yep, there is. So it will cross the paths here, and what's going to happen is when Nibiru is coming through, right? And what has it, and I'm going to go down here so you can see it, is a long tail, and in this tail is a gang of debris. We talking like, comets, junk, all that. And so as it's coming here, and as Earth is coming here, right? And then we'll pass here, right here. Now Nibiru will be about right here when we come about right here. And what happens is its tail, and we're going to get caught in the tail as it's coming through. And what happens when it gets caught in the tail is that asteroids, and that's what you're seeing right now, comets. And a lot of comets come through because that's what's full of, because Nibiru is actually a dwarf star, and it's got 6 other little stars around it, 7. This is the 7 candlesticks they talk about in your Revelations. And this is also the Hebrew little Hebrew thing, like Hanukkah, and it is a ritual of the circumference of Nibiru and its 7 candlesticks. In other words, it's 7 planetary systems of its moons, our solar system coming through. Right? And it has a gigantic dwarf star, 3 times as big as Earth, and this is why the people here are giants. Right? So it'll be here, it's here already. It's visibly seen at night, and this is why they're clouding the sky so that you don't see it. And this is why they have a lot of light too, so that you don't see it. But you can see it, right? And it will cross our path, and it's going to give us some debris. It's going to slow the Earth's rotation down, and it's going to see the Earth right now is like this, 23-degree axis, okay, and our 72 degrees. True axis is about like right now. These points here give you a phenomenon in the sky known as percent, and this is how we calculate, yak and all that, right? And so this phenomenon of precession, which is actually a wobble, right? When the Nibiru comes through, and remember it's 23 tilt, it's going to pull its tilt back this way a little bit. This is going to cause your magnetic, this will cause the magnetic pole to totally shift going now, and it will cause a few destructive earthquakes. The other thing is that when the Nibiru passes, when you get 2 gigantic bodies passing one another, you get a plasma discharge from one. This is what caused this. If this was Nibiru being 10 times as big as Earth, right, it's going to cause a plasma discharge, and this is what caused the Grand Canyon last time it passed. This is the big wrath of Allah that the prophets are sure to come, and that people will not be saved if they don't do what they're supposed to do. Comes through, it's going to shoot plasma fire, and I have the record. Last time it happened, it said people fire coming out of the sky, and they thought it was the end of the world, and all they can do is pray and get burned up. Happened. That's why the prophet said, fire, fire. All right, so this is really a real event, and it's going to happen. Any questions? Anybody got any questions on this?
Islam, you just basically broke down the reset that's coming from a cosmic standpoint.
They're preparing right now. See, you're being told one thing while they're preparing for this event. And they've been preparing ever since 82, when they first noticed what they call the red planet, or Planet X. And then in 97, they put up the Luciferian telescope out of the Vatican. They can actually see it, and it sees in infrared, because you can't see the brown star like that because it's infrared. The only time it gets seen is when it comes close to a sun, and it takes on the appearance of wings on the side of it as it's coming through. So this is why you get those wing disc shapes throughout Egypt and throughout the Middle East, and those are the wing discs because it's Nibiru. And it has this wing. That's why we call it the phoenix, or it's called the dragon. Allegories to explain, the phenomena that they're displaying in the heavens. Now, we as Canaanites and the gods knew this. So let me move on. And so 10,000 years ago, oh Lord, get back. This mucked up my whole little, what you call it, y'all? Can y'all see that stuff? Let me know if y'all need a break and if I'm boring now. I
Islam,
don't want to bore
Islam,
nobody. If I
Islam,
need a break,
Islam.
let me know.
Islam.
Okay.
Islam.
Okay. So what we have, remember the Anunnaki and them, which would be Ishtar, El, Baal, or Murdoch, or Ma, and Thoth, right? All of them knew about what was about to happen, about Nibiru's passing. And this brings us to the flood. So I'm trying to get to the flood. It says, in the Asiatic domains of Alexandria, where rain fell into the hands of the general Seleucus and his successor, a similar effort to provide the Greek servant with a record of past events took place. A priest of the Babylonian god Marduk, or Baal, right, or Baal, Berossos, with access to the libraries of clay tablets, whose core was the temple library of Haran, now in southeastern Turkey, wrote down in 3 volumes a history of the gods and man that began 432,000 years before the deluge, when the gods came to earth from the heavens, listing by the names and reigns, durations, the first 10 commanders. Barossi reported that the first leader, dressed as a fish, waded ashore from the sea. He was the one who gave mankind civilization, and his name, rendered in Greek, was Canaan, or Canis. Okay? So when he's talking about he came out of the water in fish garb, he was in the scuba gear, my friend. Okay, they splashed down in the water, all right, to check the gold in there. This is where you get the whole story of Atlantis and all that stuff. Right? And Oannes, the god Oannes with the fish tail, what they call in Dagan, is nothing but Canis and Enki and them coming out of the water with their ships, or their little ships. They came off the mothership and came on the land. So when the brothers saw this, they're like, "Oh my God, gods!" I mean, yeah, I guess so. But when other people saw this, they thought it was extremely. Okay. All right. So here says Quran questionnaire number 52: at what place on earth was the physical part of man formed? In the Garden of Eden. As a hybrid, the Adam could not procreate. The events echoed in the biblical tale of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden record the second genetic manipulation by El that added extra chromosome genes, or genes, genealogy, are the genes of E, right, needed for sexual procreation. And when mankind proliferating did not turn out the way it had been invested, it was he, El, who deified his brother Enlil's plan to let mankind perish in the deluge. The events whose hero had been called Noah in the Bible and Zoroaster in the early original Sumerian text. So what we have here is El, okay, over to the right, and this is his symbol in Egypt, El's symbol, which represents the DNA, which is called the caduceus, which is the symbol on medical things that you can see today. It goes all the way back to the ancient god El, coming up out of Canaan, right? And that intertwined serpent, right, on both sides represents the heliocentric nature of your DNA. And there's a little piece right here in the DNA representing this line, the upper part and the lower part. Now the upper part, now right, let me deal with this line first. If you put the DNA under a microscope, what you're going to find out, if you do a little study, is that the DNA has what is known as an anomaly. They say that there is a part there that's artificially implemented, means 2 parts were connected. There was this part, and there was this part, and then there was a connector gene right up in here, which made the whole thing. Now, this upper part is the chromosomes that were given from Eve to the chromosomes of the earth being to make and fashion what we know today as perfect man. This is when it says, "Who made you?" Any questions? All right. Oh,
No.
any questions? So it's so important for us to know our science, you guys. When we understand our science, we understand what happened here. Okay. And we understand our place, why we are the children of God and been protected for so long, because he actually procreated and he, gave us the genes. We got the genes. Yeah, my friend. This is why you can jump faster here in America than any other brothers. Why all of the world follows the American brother, no matter if he's in a low state or a high state. Just take a look at everybody sagging. Everybody loves hip hop. Everybody wants to talk like you, dress like you. Even these people here who claim that they don't have any culture until you gave them culture. You gave them cool. You gave them jazz. You gave them music. You gave them everything so they can be a certain type thing. Right? Why? Because you hold the God gene. Matter of fact, within your DNA, there's a gene called the immortal gene. All right, and this is the one that they're scared of. So at the bottom part here, they call it junk DNA too. Or right up in here, they're calling this piece junk DNA, and that happens to be the pieces of what fuses the great God. It's inactive right now, and it's laying dormant until now. And this is what is known as the gamma rays, that they're so afraid of, coming from Betelgeuse. Which has exploded, and also the sun is shooting out major gamma, activates that electromagnetic radiation, happens to activate what they're calling junk DNA. Why do they know this? Because they put it under a microscope and tested their stuff, man. They hit it with nuke stuff, and it activated and morphed. And they were scared to death. They didn't know what to do. They called it Chernobyl. Don't know who you are yet. Anyway, we got this super scientist being L that comes from different parts. See, it became now super being who we call God, because they even took a evolutionary up when we came. This thing is deep. You know what I'm saying? I mean, very deep, man. And you're looking at this dude over here to the right. It's one of the Elohims that created everything that there is and ever more to be, and actually helped create the devil. Now, help did not do that. These other ones over here created. All right, it says L's own text, which scholars call the Eridu Genesis. They include detailed description of the fashioning of Adam, and describe how other Anunnaki, male and female, came to El in the city of Eridu to obtain from him the Medes. The Medes are like discs. They're like data disk, super quantum data disk, right? Kind of a data disk, and encodes all aspects of civilization. And they included texts of L's primitive private life, and personal problems, such as the tale of his attempt to attain a son by his half-sister in her sag, his promiscuous affairs with both goddesses and the daughters of man, and the unforeseen consequences thereof. The Atrahasis text throws light on Anu's efforts to prevent a flare-up of in and Leo's rivalry by dividing Earth's dominion between them, and the text records the events preceding the deluge, rendered almost verbatim, the debates in the Council of the Gods about the fate of mankind, and El's subterfuge known as the Tale of Noah, and the Ark tale known only from the biblical until one of its original Mesopotamian version was found in the tablets of the Epic of Gilgamesh. So the dudes here on the right would be us, and this is one of the El's Anunnakis, right? And we were helping out in the temple, doing our thing. Hold on, we were helping out, doing our thing, and there's a little goat right there because the Mo likes some goat, so we finna go barbecue. We give them the high five, like peace, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and we put that to our heart. You know what I'm saying? Those particular items represent him being a sacred priest or within the sacred temples. That one of the gods you see over here, as you can see, the brother with the beard and the whole little the napping back and the fez and all that. The wings, meaning he had the ability of flight. In other words, he had a UFO. That pine cone in his hand represented the DNA, representing the pineal gland, that he had control, certain things, and he had DNA in this little thing. Right? So, how am I doing on time? What time is it?
Isn't that the bag of knowledge?
It's not. It is. It's the bag of knowledge. It has the genetic makeup of perfected men, has genetic makeup of devil, and those who they created so that they can have workers sent everywhere. Right? And
Islam.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to say thank you for the scientific breakdown of what the prophet is pointing out in the Quran and everything that he brought to us and everything, because it takes you out of the spookism and the mystery God philosophy of modern day religion.
That's right. They spook you out so they can control you. We have science. We know God lies. Hate us. We know now what's going on here. And we honor our forefathers. They're the ones who began to worship and do all this stuff, man. It was them. We honored and worshiped Father God Lord. That's what we told everybody else to do. But people didn't want to listen. Any more questions? That part? What? Here. Okay, so speaking adeptly, Quran questionnaire for Moorish American 21. How old is our flag? It is over 10,000 years old. All right, so now we're moving into part 2, the Great Flood, after two 25,000-year cycles of precession. So in the adept, we know that the prophet says that our flag is 50,000 years old. Now, that's a lot within that statement. Okay, so to say that and to understand that 25,000 years creates one great cycle of precession. That's how we measure age with that. So we actually had 2 of those, which is huge. Okay, so the first 25,000 years is when we set out and we built up what is now known as Egypt over there, where the pharaohs of Egypt, where it speaks about, were sent out to dredge the Nile. Okay, now understand that the Nile is 25,000 miles long, which attests to it being artificially created. Ahead of myself. Head. Yeah, I did. I skipped ahead. My bad. I'm back. All right. So the land of Canaan, the city of Mecca. So what we have to the right is Lord Canaan. All right. In the royal red turban. So it is the guy. It is the brother in the back. That is Lord Canaan, and he's a giant. We're talking giant, at least 17 feet tall. All right. Very rare picture that you're getting here. This picture is like buried. I can't believe I found it and they put it out. As you can see, they did not wipe them out. You can see that they're brothers, and in the turban, the white initiates given the sacred incense burning and the scrolls so they can go into the temple of Baal or Baal and then communicate to him of what they did and get instructions for the further about the empire. You understand? Wasn't up in there burning no bodies, wasn't up in there sacrificing no children. Those devils. This is what they do. You don't do that. All right? You can see that man's burning incense. You don't see no children on the altar. All this Baal and the Moabites was burning children and Moloch. I mean, that's a lie, man. Okay?
Islam.
Straight up, man. You're not going to dirty my forefather Baal or Baal, which means the son of El. Bay or Bay. You ever heard of Bay? Right? You ever heard of Ba? That means father. You ever heard of Bay or Baal or Baba? Baba, that means son. So what you actually have there in AL can also be EL because you can change vowels as they do. Now the Y is a vowel also. So BAY is really BEY. Once fool you because you don't know grammar. and how they transliterate, they can take away you out of history. Okay? So anyway, looking at the Lord Canaan, we're looking over to his right, is his landmass. And like I showed you earlier, it included Asia, it included all the land. From this land, you can get everywhere. And when you're at the top of the world, where this landmass of Canaan is, right, and which is also Canada. So don't forget, Lord Canaan land was also Canada. Right? And this is where the Moabites ran out of from Joshua. We're going to get there in a second. All right, so anyway, when you're here, Asia is west. Remember I showed you where Alaska and Asia was on the last map, which is up here, right? And over here will be Alaska, California. Well, when you're here at the top, this is called the Far East. And then that means going east is west. This is west. All right. So if you're really here, east is west. And west is east. Because you're at the top of the world. All right. If you can reach all areas from here. This is why people get confused when they speak about the Holy Lands being over in Asia, or being in what you now consider Asia, our Holy Lands. Because at one time, all this was there. So anyway, you're looking at Lord Canaan's land. All right, so notice Atlantis as the name of North America, Upper California in the land of Canaan, and the Holy City of Mecca. Also, remember the Moabites, the founders of the Holy City of Mecca. Holy Quran, the Moorish Scientific of America, chapter 42, verse 6. Okay, so let's deal over here to the right. The land of Canaan. Notice Atlantis is where northwest landmass is. This says can y'all see that? Atlantis. And this is where California, that little thing that said California. This is what they're saying Alaska, and this is Asia or Russia, right? But they're calling all of California, and what this would be considered Canada, right? Now let's go over here to the right and to the left. So over here would be right here, going down, yeah. Okay? So Northwest and Southwest Africa, the line, west. This is the Southwest. Show you this here in a minute. All right, so anyway, so coming from Asia, the Far East, are the east of Eden. Now, who remembers in their Bible who got sent to the east of Eden? Huh? Who remembers?
Was it Cain?
All right now, who said that? That's right. That's some smart ones up in here.
It's Sister Rika L.
Sister Rika L. That's right, sis. That's 100% right. And I'm going to read it to you. So out of the Tanakh, or the Torah Bible, it is in Genesis chapter 4, I believe, verse 13. Verse 13. 15. The Lord said to him, I promise, if anyone kills Cain, sevenfold vengeance shall be taken on him. And the Lord put a mark on Cain, lest anyone who met him should kill him. Cain left the presence of the Lord and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Okay. So when they're speaking about that, they're speaking about Asia. You're here are the Far East. In other words, east of him being here, he comes over here to the land of Nod. Now the land of Nod is right here. This was the land of Nod. Cain went, traveled down. And this is where the giants were, where Queen Khalifa's blood. Any questions so far?
Islam, that's South America, correct?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. South America. How do I do this? Can't hear. All right. Yeah, it sure is, Mo. America.
No, bring a little speaker.
Anybody got any more questions? Any questions on this part right here before we move on?
Be back, Mama.
Hey, put your mic on. I'm going to have to. Please put your mic. I'll do it. There you go. Okay, so let's move on here. Now let's peep this out. Okay, so there was a great flood in the land of Canaan. All right, so Hebrew English translation, verse 18 from Genesis. And the sons of Noah who went out of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth. These three were the sons of Noah, and all the earth was overspread with them. Let's look at Ham as mentioned in our Holy Quran of the Moorish Scientific America, chapter 47, verse 3. Ham and his family, the minions of the Mexum, the first true and divine name of Africa, was northwest and southwest, Ham's dominion of Africa, chapter 45, verse 3. The Egyptians, who were the Hamathites and direct descendants of Mizraim. Where is the northwest and southwest? Of course, America, North America. All right, so speaking about the flood, though, right? So what we're looking at here, about 12,000 years ago, in the Paleodiana period, right, Idiana period, you had an ice cap that had covered parts of Canaan's land. Not the top part, though, for some reason. It did not cover what I showed you earlier, that little circle, although it circled around it. It was weird, and I have the proof of that. So anyway, there was a huge 3-mile ice cap, thick, that laid up here, right, and it came kind of all the way down to the Great Lakes and all that. All right, and this particular shelf right here, right, was huge. So when things happen, boom. Now, I'm going to prove this to you. There's a scientist who use science. There's a geologist. I want you to keep game. We're going to look at, say, 9 minutes. And he's going to explain, you know, a little bit more, much better understanding, right? But the flood happened here in North America the most. It did go in the other parts of Asia, but it really was here. And it was outrageous. Okay, so does anybody need to take a quick break? Anybody need like a little 3-minute or something? Put a little pause. Are you guys good?
I'm good.
Anybody else need a little pause there?
As long as we're good.
Okay, anybody? Okay, praise Allah. Got 20 of us, huh? Okay, everybody's good. We're gonna watch this little video then.
Okay, first I'll show you a graphic. Okay, here, this is basically the setup. This was the condition prior to the flooding. And once you begin to look at this and you realize that you've got, estimates vary, between 6 and 7.5 million cubic miles of ice. Over central Canada, the ice was 3 miles thick. Over the region of Hudson Bay, I mean, can you imagine an ice mass 3 miles thick? Now, again, you see, all of Canada is under that ice. So 13,000 years ago, the world looked like this. Between 9 and 10,000 years, that ice was gone. See, and that's essentially the paradox that I'm proposing here, and the paradox that was recognized by scientists way back in the 70s, is that getting rid of this mass of ice requires an extraordinary amount of heat energy. Okay, so where does such a source of heat energy come from? Well, one reason why the scientists of the 70s essentially gave up and assumed the problem was intractable was any source of energy that they were trying to invoke to explain the rapid melting, all of those explanations were all Earth-based. They were all terrestrial. Whereas I believe that the solution is not terrestrial in nature.
Did the pole shift?
What?
Did the poles shift?
Well, that's a complicated question. And I don't think Paul wants me to get into that right now. So let me say this, though. I think that there was a pole shift. However, the pole shift wasn't the cause. The pole shift was the result. Because here's the thing about pole shift, people, since you brought it up. When you have this much ice mass, that affects the stability of Earth's rotation on its axis. If you can suddenly remove this tremendous mass of ice from the polar regions, it creates effects. First of all, rheological effects, which means a redistribution of mass under the crust. It causes, that's all you need to think about for now, that there's a huge redistribution of surface mass. That redistribution of surface mass is going to affect the Earth's spin. Okay?
Now then, was this ice not more or less consistent through Europe and Russia?
No.
It wasn't.
No. In fact, during the, and here's another one of the anomalies. During the Ice Age, Siberia appears to have been warmer than it is now. That's an enigma of the whole, and you know, Siberia, remember, is up here. This
So
is.
do you think then that the pole was sort of in the middle of this?
Well, it's interesting that if you take the center of the North American ice sheet was Hudson Bay. That's right there where the ice was thickest. If you draw a circle around that, that's the equivalent of 23.5 degrees, it's just like, it's essentially the same size as the Arctic Circle.
Basically, you're saying that was the pole.
I'm suggesting that that might have been the case.
The ice sheet extended 23 degrees.
Yeah. And then those red arrows represent principal flow lines of meltwater. So the Pacific Northwest, where I was showing you Grand Coulee and some of those other features, that's all right in here. And what makes those features so spectacular is the fact that from the ice to the ocean was a short, steep distance to travel. When the ice flowed off the Midwest here, the water flowed off the Midwest, it had a much longer distance to travel at a much shallower gradient. Therefore, it didn't have the same erosive potential as this water flowing off up here, for example. So even though you can travel from the Atlantic to the Pacific, and if you know what to look for, you can trace the evidence of the catastrophic meltwater flows all the way from the Atlantic to the Pacific. And Brad and I have almost accomplished that. We're still got a couple of more trips to do. But you can very clearly see that, that the evidence is all along the entire southern margin of the ice for these tremendous meltwater flows coming off. Finger Lakes of New York. How many of you have seen the Finger Lakes? Finger Lakes were created by catastrophic meltwater flows coming off right here. In fact, if you look at the Finger Lakes, they're basically just coulees that are filled with water. They're very similar to the coulees you see out west in size, in shape, in depth. Just you've got a different environment. You know, if you've got 45 inches of rainfall up here and 10 inches of rainfall out west, that's mainly the difference. So where you have 45 inches of rainfall, you get a lake. Where you have 10 inches of rainfall, you get a coulee that's basically dry. So I'm going to skip through some of this real fast because we saw it last 2 weeks ago. If you go into the literature, you know, the various traditions from all over the world, you will find references to this idea of ekpyrosis, the idea that there is this fire coming from heaven that, you know, you can find it's deeply embedded into the traditions of the Mayans, the Aztecs, It's deeply embedded in the biblical traditions, both Old and New Testament. You find it in American Indian traditions. You find it very much embedded in Egyptian stuff, but it's a little more allegorical there. It's harder to discover. You find it in the Norse traditions. You begin to find it. You find it in the Pacific Islanders have lots of traditions about these cosmic fires that basically wipe everything out. South American Indians, all the way down to Tierra del Fuego, the Uricaris, I think they're called, have a tradition about a great firestorm that engulfed the earth. And interestingly, in their tradition, the firestorm was then followed by a great flood. And the great flood was essentially the handiwork of the Creator, who had to bring on the great flood to put out the cosmic fires. So again, there's just both prophecies about the future and tales about the past. And we saw some of this a couple of weeks ago. We've all heard of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? The Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And Abraham gat up early in the morning, and he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the plain, and beheld, and lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. So, what is it that is this something just completely conjured up, in the minds of? Well, I would suspect that would be the first place to look, because after all, if we take it at face value, it's saying brimstone and fire. From where? From the Lord out of heaven. I think it's telling us pretty literally here. The Mahabharata. This is from the Vedic tradition of India. And they're talking about the end of the Yuga, the end of our current world age. And after going through this long litany of disasters, they say these all will take place at the end of the Yuga. And when men become fierce and destitute of virtue, then does the Yuga come to the end. And the course of the winds will be confused and agitated, and innumerable meteors. Notice this, innumerable meteors. So they're getting pretty explicit here. They're getting pretty darn close to what I think constitutes the solution of this problem. Innumerable meteors will flash through the sky, foreboding evil. And then the sun will appear with 6 others of the same kind, and all around will be din and uproar, and everywhere there will be conflagrations, and fires will blaze up on all sides when the end of the Yuga comes. What do you think this image of the sun with 6 others? How might we explain that by naturalistic phenomena? See, up until this day and age, the tendency has been for all of those of a scientific bent to basically consider all of this as, either allegorical or, superstitious belief in supernatural events. But it's only within the last decade or two, I think, that science has begun to sort of begrudgingly say, well, maybe some of this stuff from these ancient traditions isn't just something conjured up in the illiterate fantasies of a bunch of savages who have to have some way of explaining what they don't understand. Maybe, in fact, what we're seeing here is traditions.
His information is coming back on board, and a lot more people are gearing toward, shows you what is called the Scablands. Anybody ever heard of Scablands? Scablands are in Washington State and way up there north near the border. And you can see on this picture right here is a part of it where the flood came in and tore up the whole land. It looked like somebody a big claw and just clawed it, right? When you go look at this video. So if you have a chance, go to geocosmicrex.com and go take a good look at that entire series on the flood, okay?
Islam.
All right, so from the Archives of the Congress of the Aboriginal Knowledge, page 456, from the Archives of Congress, Aboriginal Knowledge, page 456 to 7, by Henry Schoolcraft, 1793 to 1864, page 476. The earliest inhabitants of America were the descendants of Ham. the youngest son of Noah. Now, I forgot to put the picture of the actual book up. And if you want, I'll do it right now. I'll show you, but it's that I don't have to go to some stuff. But you can go pull this up right now on the internet and simply pull up the Archives of Congress, Aboriginal Knowledge, Henry Schoolcraft, 1793, 1864. And where it is the record, as it explains, about the one that they go by about who is who in the Americas. The reason why a lot of these people who are trying to be the Indians, black, and all that, and they get turned down, like the what is those particular people called? The Wachatachi people, the Washawas.
Washita de Doug de Moundia.
Yeah, the Doug de Moundia Supreme Empress lady. Why they got turned down is because they found their records not to be accurate. Only went to so. And they have a record, you guys, that they go on. And this is the book. And it says exactly what it says in your Holy Quran. Okay? So, in the Quran of the Moorish Temple of America, who were the first inhabitants of the Northwest and Southwest? I'm not going to move on until somebody answers that. In your Holy Quran.
Ancient Moabites.
The Moabites. Yes, I can.
Nah. Yeah. All right now, who said that?
Sister Rika L.
Oh, Sister Rika L, that's two. Okay. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. That's right. So let's go there for everyone else to get the answer correct. You guys were right somewhat, don't get me wrong, but the first, I said the first inhabitant, right, of Northwest. Now, the first inhabitants of Africa was Cush, but he went to the Northeast. But the first inhabitants of Africa, of the Northwest, was Ham, who was the second inhabitant of Africa, if you guys have to follow this. But then, page 47, right, and we'll read it, verse 3. Ham and his father and his family were second. They talking about in Africa, right? But we're speaking about the Northwest. And then he speaks about the demarcation line of the dominions of Cush, Northeast and Southeast. And then he says Northwest and Southwest was his father's dominion, meaning Ham. Okay? Ham is now verified to come into the Northwest, which we verified earlier to be America. Even Google knows this. And now we find it in the Archives of Congress on the #1 book that they go by to check against anybody's claims out there. Guess what it says? Ham. The earliest inhabitants of America were the descendants of Ham. Okay? Ham, which means Ham was here first. Islamism? Anybody?
Islam.
Am I reading that wrong?
No, Islam.
Okay, now where did they tell us Ham ended up? In some place called what? Nubia?
Africa. That's the traditional narrative.
But see how they fool you? They say Africa, but they're actually speaking about the prophet's Africa. But on TV, guess what they tell you? And since we don't do no research, guess what Africa we follow? Hollywood. Oh, Hollywood says it. Wasn't that Will Smith that played the Alibaba? You know, that was a good movie, Aladdin, but praise Allah. All I'm saying is, though, they already know, y'all. They had it in the archive. That's why all these ones running up gets turned down. That's why when we stepped up, guess what they had to go check? Oh, God, yeah, you don't think I pushed this back in their face when I sent in the records? I said, and guess where those records are at? The Department of Interior. The very people that wrote us back and said, yep, we agree. Why? Because it's their own record. And guess what record we got? That is a part of our holy nation and landmass. So if the record in their own Aboriginal archives say Ham's people and the descendants, right, are the first people in America, when the prophet says inhabitant, first inhabitant means Aboriginal. Go look it up. Why we need anybody else's records out here other than our prophet? Can anybody answer that real quick? Or is it just me?
Islam, Grand Governor.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. The prophet's words come first, but just so you'll know, there are, like, you know, I don't know who write, you know, some of these. That makes me question some of the other books, the extra biblical books that these, especially our Hebrew Israelite brothers, are espousing. Like, I think it's the book of Jubilees that points out that among the three sons of Noah, Shem was given the Americas as the eldest, and then Ham was given Africa and Japheth Europe. And I think that's where a lot of these doctrines are coming from.
Yeah.
Just as a point of reference, but of course what the prophet says comes first.
Islam.
Anybody
else?
A lot of those references too, I found out, like especially the Book of Jubilees, a lot of the books that deal with like things out of Ethiopia, like the Keeper and August, that deals with Rastafari culture. A lot of these things are direct misinformation coming out of the so-called Queen's headquarters. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And the imitation queen that's in there right now, when she got in there, she linked up with the Vatican, and they was in cahoots to change and rearrange everything. And they have done just that.
Islam, Brother Elo. That's right, Mo. That's right, Mo. That's
Islam.
right. Islam is. So you know what? If y'all roll with it for a moment, I'm going to show you something fantastic I've been trying to really get to. And even though all of it's really good, I'm not going to. So anyway, let's look at this. So the earliest inhabitants of America were the descendants of Ham, the youngest son of Noah. The Negro, so-called, which means the Moor, Indians from Mexico to Canada, are evidently of one group. They resemble each other in complexion as well as in mannerism and customs. So they're in their own archives telling you that from Mexico to Canada, which is what? Oh my God. Are one
America.
people. That's right. Now let's go to some of this. Let me get through some of this. It says the Ohio Miscellaneous Museum, Lebanon, Ohio, January 1822. Abel Atwater, 1820, monographed descriptions of the antiquities of the people who formerly inhabited the western part of the United States. They were once star forts, cemeteries, temples, altar, camps, towns, villages, race grounds, and other places of amusement, habitations of chieftains, watchtowers, monuments, etc. These ancient works, especially the mounds, both of earth and stone, are found in every quarter. And I have little doubt of their existing where we are informed the Ark of Noah rested. Northwestern lakes, down them and their outlets as far as the Black River country on the southern shores of Lake Ontario, New York. They already know where the Ark landed, but they are telling you over there in some place called Iraq. These people, if you are not careful, and if you don't follow the prophet, you're going to be misled. Do you know how long and how big in the archives of Congress I had to go to get that? That's why
Wow.
This is why they didn't deny it, y'all, when I sent that stuff in. Because I had their own records. And I hit them back in their face with the prophet out in front. As I used them as just reference points, like I'm doing now. This is the actual document I sent into them. This is what y'all reading. Here we go. So Mexico, Memphis, Egypt, refounded by Abu Barki Mokan II, established 1311 AD, today wrongly called the Aztec Empire, Charles of Montezuma. Now let's go back. So If Ham's people were here first, and the ark was here first, and in chapter 45, the prophet tells us at verse number 3, the Egyptians who were the Hamathites. I happen to go here on you in the America and tell you Egypt, we shouldn't be amazed, should we? Oh,
Islam.
where they want to take us, where they want to take us to Egypt, where they always pointing at. Where they, come on, y'all.
Northeast Africa.
They're pointing somewhere at the Nile part, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but it tells us that Ham was the Egyptian from Mizraim, who happens to be the founder. That is the name. Means Egypt, which happens to be Ham's son. Now, if Ham and them was here in the Americas, that means Mizraim was here in the Americas. Are we following this line that we're taking? I mean, you got to take it all the way through now, my friends. You can't go halfway with this. See, your mind for the European psychology, when I tell you Egypt, the first place that's popping in your head is them 3 pyramids over there, and those are nothing but our energy. Those are our energy plants. So we could have free Wi-Fi over here and around the world.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay. Now, let's look at it. Israel, Isis, Ra, Baal, or Marduk, and the father El. Israel means, in its etymology, and you can find this in your student manual, okay, on Moorish etymology, Moorish, Israel means Baal preserve, or the Baal preserve. What it means. They're telling you a bunch of other stuff. How they put it together? Isis, Diana, Marduk, and El, the founders of Canaan, the gods, are now the gods too of Memphis. Now, Memphis is what you're looking at to the left. Now, peep out. I got so much to go through on this part, but I don't want to spoil the other parts. If Egypt was here, and you got a book that describes Jesus, 18 missing years, where was Elizabeth and Mary being taught?
Egypt.
And where is that?
Here in the Americas.
And where would
Memphis?
That's right. So where would little Jesus be then?
What's called modern day Mexico.
Oh my goodness, put it together, Mo. That's right. Islam. Y'all giving me chills. Love y'all. All right, look at this. I skipped ahead, but I just want to give you a little something. A Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 47, verse 7. Their dominions, their government, and inhabitation. I mean, where they live, where they kicked it, where they had made love to their wife, where they had children, where they built monuments, where they had temples, where they had, places of worship, where they had buildings to go to work at. Extended across the great Atlantis, meaning all of it, homie, across that whole thing. To the left, you're seeing an actual picture out of the Archives of Congress again, of the Atlantis. And it was sitting there. I told you it's going to rise again. And like he told you it existed. Everybody talking about figure out Atlantis exists. And you still question, do it exist? It's in your book. Do you have faith? Well, they sure do. Anyway, so if he's speaking about across, I think the Americas over here to the right, as you can see, and coming across. And everything means all this, my habitations is across Atlantis, all of that. Over until this part of the dominions, when we created on page 3, when we got kicked out of where, and then we decided to go create what kingdoms? We'll get there in a minute. Y'all seeing this? And there's
Islam.
The one, the picture to the right is an actual picture of sunken Egyptian objects off the coast of Havana, Cuba. And you're going to tell me Egyptian and lands didn't exist? There, here, everywhere. It was a one world empire. All right now. All right, so Moorish Scientific America, once again, our lovely book. The river Nile was drudged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order, so, oh, that's just a lot right there. In order to trade with the surrounding kingdoms, this verse implies that Egypt was already a great nation with technology to drudge the Nile River. Also, it means that there was no pyramid in the Gaza, no life, because there was no water there. The Nile River is approximately 25,000 miles, as the same as the circumference of the earth, and the great year in the precessional the cycle of precession, and it happens to be in the mathematical calculation of the pyramid itself. And it happens to, well, so let's look at this for a moment. We drudge the Nile. How do we even know? First and foremost, it's 25,000 miles. How many times must a thing be a coincidence before it starts becoming a coincidence? So it's 25,000 miles long. So is the circumference of the earth, and so it's a precessional cycle of precession. When we look at the Nile, you're sitting at the Nile at the southernmost part, or Nubian part, and looking down and are looking up it, or if you happen to be in one of those grand cities, looking up the Nile at a specific time at night, at 7 o'clock, when it becomes dusk and the stars appear, the Milky Way matches directly at the Nile. So it looks like it's going into the sky, into infinity. As above, so below. Then if you go and calculate all to the right there, all of those pyramid structures you see are those particular kingdoms and areas. Every one of them matches the star constellation of Orion. What you're looking at is the Orion constellation mapped out on the ground. And why Orion? It was bombed. Now, I don't want to play this next video. Is kind of long. I think it's long.
Islam isn't Rashid. You said why Orion? The first thing that came to my mind was Beetlejuice.
Oh, well, Islamism. Also Triangulus. And if you go read our stuff, that's where they say the great God went for a time. Anyway, and if you look at the map in the Nibiru, it goes right into Triangulus. You know, had some telescopes to show you guys a whole lot. The next time I'll link up my my program that's linked into one of the telescopes, and I'll show you some. So anyway, let's look at this real quick. Let's see what we got here.
From there, we take a 360 logic to its square corner form here at Dashry, Egypt. In itself, we find the so-called bent pyramid. The monument slope angle changes about halfway up its face, presenting what is readily seen as two separate bodies. Egyptologists advise us that the reason for these two different slope angles was due to engineering consideration. Weight and comfort that caused the sides to buckle. The ancient slope angle. Below even hear the average campaign speech.
Oh my God.
Egyptologists are not going to want to hear this. The Neferu's engineers know exactly what they were doing. Through the lower slope angle at 54.7 degrees.
Oh no. What happened?
deeper than the pyramid. They pose no risk of collapse. Over at the Mayans had no trouble with collapsing pyramids.
No audio mode.
Islam.
Islam, there's no sound.
Yes, we can hear you.
Guys hear me? Can you guys hear me now?
Now we can.
All right, you couldn't hear the video either, huh?
No, sir.
All right, hold on.
Seconds.
Let me see what I can do about that.
Bent in order to show anyone.
Can you guys still see the video?
No.
I mean the pic. I mean,
Yeah, picture.
There's a picture up. Okay, so you guys can hear me, huh? Okay. Yeah. For some reason, my mic had tripped out. I don't know what the heck happened. All right, go on. I'm gonna skip that video because it's a little long, and we'll come back. Are you guys want to see it? It's not that long, but a little bit of it, huh?
It's just hard to hear the audio. The audio was real muffled out, and then it just went out of nowhere anyways.
Okay, well here. Okay.
It was breaking up. I didn't even hear nothing it said.
Really?
Yeah, it was real muffled. Real muffled.
Okay. All right, we'll move on. I'm gonna move on to the next one.
From there, we
you hear it?
60-degree.
Can you hear that?
Square corner.
Hear it clearly too.
Egypt.
Can you hear better?
9 minutes south.
Yeah, much better. It's much better.
Yes, sir.
The monument slope angle changes about halfway up its face, presenting what is readily seen as two separate bodies. Egyptologists advise us that the reason for these two different slope angles was due to engineering considerations. Too much weight bearing downward would cause the sides to buckle, on self-respect. The ancient builders decided to lower the slope angle at the halfway mark. That's more baloney than we hear in the average political campaign speech. Egyptologists are not going to want to hear this, but Senefru's engineers knew exactly what they were doing.
Much better.
The lower slope angle at 54.7 degrees from Jesus' pyramid, but it posed no risk of collapse. Angle and weight were no problem. Over at Tikal in Guatemala, the Mayans had no problem with collapsing pyramids. They didn't have squared block construction. Here, pyramid interiors were rubble, without veneer merely cemented cube. The 228-foot tall temple fort, 72 degrees, not 54. It's an effort, and it's still there. Therefore, if there is any substance to what as the reason that pyramid invented, then none of the Mayan pyramids should have reached us intact. This design affords the observer the opportunity to see additional numbers beyond those available in the pyramid design. Here, instead of only 4 sides, you see 8. And rather than seeing 4 base corners, we see 8 corners and an apex. That's 9. 360 degrees times 8 times 9, 25,920.
Wow, precession, cycle,
Yes.
circumference of the earth.
This figure encodes its actual latitude, 29 degrees, 27 minutes, and 19.01 seconds. It was deliberately bent in order to show anyone why it is where it is. There were no engineering problems. 60-degree base design was to reveal 2 bodies of 360 degrees. What happens when we divide 360 by 2? 180, of course, which answers its longitude. But not its longitude from the modern Greenwich. Prime meridian pyramid age was predicated on the position of the Great Pyramid, from which the bent.
It's only about like 4 more minutes.
These pyramids are points to the remarkable global matrix, explains a global positioning system involving the mathematical precisions of the Earth.
Listen.
Why haven't we seen this before? Questions we have been asked. Pyramids are inadequate. Broken, when, and how are irrelevant. We should have been asking why they are really.
That's in Ohio.
No, they were built. It's easy for us. We have known the measurements of the pyramid for some time. Understand the language of the age. Can't read the figures. The height of the lower body, 106.996 feet. 920. It's related.
Islamism. Little idea of your geniusness. You designed pyramids that was on a grid around the entire world. And when you looked at it from space, it looked like the stars of heaven were on the planet. Therefore, easy for one from Orion to understand what area to go to. So if I need to go to the school of genetics, I would come fly in to X part of Orion. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh, okay, Islam. I would see the pictograms of, say, the monkey or the big ant, and I would know, and that I'm in the right area and I would land. Right? It's a lot to this, but who you are and what you've done, my friends, if you can just hear the awe in Karl Monk, which is the video you just saw, who is another PhD scientist in mathematics. And we're talking spherical mathematics. And this dude is no joke. He's an engineer. He builds huge stuff. And his unbelievable whatever is just, understanding of the circle mounds in America. He's mapped out, literally. Say, man, all this connects, everything. And unbelievable. Connected, every pyramid connects to another one around the world. It's you. And so you're the Hamatite. And this is your history. And everyone else takes a piece of it. And they become famous. They become great within their work. While we shun it. We think, oh, they already know that. What do you mean? It's your stuff. Why don't you tell your story? You're so used to them telling your story, you just cool with that? How does this dude know your math better than you? How does this dude make more money? That dude makes $300,000 a year explaining the pyramids. But you broke. You built it. Your bloodline. This is incredible. Well, let's move on. Praise so long. We're coming back. All right, so in the Atlantic Journal and Friends of Knowledge, first letter to Mr. Champollion on the graphic system of the Americas and the glyphic of the Ottomans and Palenque in Central America, Professor of Historical and Natural Sciences, etc., Volume 1, Philadelphia, Spring of 1832. Number 1, once again out of the Archives of Congress. First letter, the Society of Geography of Paris offered a large premium for a voyage to Guatemala, which is actually Andalusia, or New Andalusia, right? Before it became Guatemala, which is where, in a minute, and a new survey of the antiquities of Yucatan and Chica, you ever heard Chica, Chica? Anyway, chiefly those 15 miles from Palenque, which are wrongly called by that name. I have restored to them the true name of Altaman, which is a river running through their ruined cities. Surveyed by Captain Del Rio as early as 1787. Now, quickly to stop here, that's New Spain. Now, that's New Spain. Spain was invented by Moors, which was called Moorish Spain, right? And 1492 is when they left. So that means this person is still Moorish Spain. His name is Del Rios, which is created by Moors in Spain, when it was known as Moorish Spain, by mixing Latin and Arabic, known as Spanish. What we're looking at is a Moorish record of what is going on. 1787, remember that. Now, Moors here were put into lost nationality in 1774. I said the Asiatics of America need to learn to love instead of hate. But anyway, but withheld from the public eye by Spain, which had been more Spain there, was published in 1822 in English. This account, which partly describes the ruins at a stone city 75 miles in circuit, length 32 English miles, greatest breadth 12 miles, full of palaces, monuments, statues, and inscriptions. One of the earliest sets of American civilization, about equal to Thebes of Egypt. Equal. Thebes of Egypt. When I began my investigation of these American glyphs and became convinced that they must have been group of letters, but in a great variety of Egyptian form of the same letters. And I thought that I could trace some resemblance with our ancient glyphs, with the American glyphs. Okay. In fact, I could see in them the Egyptian cross, snake, circle, delta, square, trident, eye, feather, fish, hand, etc. However, this first examination and approximation and analogy in Egypt and Africa was a great preliminary step in the inquiry. I had always believed that the Atlanteans colonized America, as so many ancient writers have affirmed. This belief led me to search for any preserved fragments of the alphabet of the Western Africa, the Maghreb, in other words, also known as Northwest Africa. The Arab Maghreb and Barbary is a subsection of North Africa that is effectively a western part of the Moorish Old World Empire and is predominantly Muslim. The region includes Algiers, Libya, Mauritania, Morocco, and Tunisia, and Libya, the land of Africa and Atlantis, yet existing under the names of Berber or Moors, Arnix, and Shulas. In other words, this guy is saying that the Atlanteans are existing under a name of Berbers, which means Moors, and Tarunix, which means Tunisia, and Sha'alus or Shawas, which is an Arabic term. So in his time, everyone knew that the Moors, who are in North Africa, right, coming from the Northwest, right? Remember, you page 3, We are the ones who created those kingdoms: Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, etc. means Fez, the Maghreb, El Andalus, Spain, and all that. Okay? So in his time, he's telling you a lot here, man, and it is off the hook, right? That they bury so much about who you are. Let me move on. Now we're getting to the part that I've been kind of getting to before we sat down, because it's 2:24 and we're going to 2:45. Okay? And then we'll pick up next week. Okay, so the royal houses of the West, the Maghreb. Holy Quran of the Moorish Science of America, chapter 47. The dominions of Kush, remember dominions meaning empire, government, was northeast and south, and it's also inhabiting there, northeast and southeast Africa. Now the northeast is very important, and northwest and southwest was his father's dominion of Africa. Most people think we're talking about the Africa way over there. Now I'm going to show you by land map. Before names, you've got to understand how the prophet's language is. Okay, the prophet's language is when he's speaking about northwest, he's speaking geographic and longitude and latitude. So first get that before we start saying we Cherokees or anything other than or whatever, or where our land is. And you got to know, like I said before, topography are the way maps are, so you could understand this, because too many people think he's still talking about Africa over there because we ran Mauritania, Morocco, Tunisia, and Algeria. Hold it. It was here first by what he's saying, and here it is. So the map to your left, and we're going to blow that little piece up for you. You can see. Oh, yeah. Laser. Boom. All right, so this part right here, what does that say? Everyone? Anybody?
Islam, Northwest Coast.
Right. Now, Northwest. Okay? So the Northwest, leave that coast off for a moment, but the Northwest, there it is. Uh-oh. Oh my goodness. My other thing is getting low. I can't believe it. 8 of them batteries. Go ahead. Where's Allah? Y'all be bearing with it, bruh. Thank you so much. So Northwest. And this is what the prophet's speaking about when he's speaking about our land, guys. The Northeast is over here. Northeast. All right. Why am I saying this? The Moabites from the land, not lands, land. And he also says it, right? Now, check this. He also says that. He didn't say a bunch of lands. Okay. All right. Number 2, old man Cush in chapter 47, verse 2. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan, one land, one part. Now, look, the dividing. Now, here it is, verse 3. When it comes to dividing, his father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominions of Amexem. Dominions, the governments, the first true and divine name of Africa. Now here it is, the dividing of the land. It didn't say lands between the Father and the Son. Peep out your prophet, man. So here's the dividing of the land right in front of you. Northwest Africa, let's go look at it and read it from the Quran. The dominion of Cush with northeast, there it is. Okay, and southeast, there it is. You understand? And northwest, there we go. Are y'all following me?
Islam.
Okay, so northwest, right? I'm still reading now. Where am I again? Number 4. Northwest and southwest, there it is, Mexico, all of that stuff, right? All right. Southwest was his father's dominion.
Okay, now let's go look at the demarcation line. That's the plains you see there. Why? Because it's a demarcation line of a dominion, which means government. It could be anywhere. It doesn't have to be a land. It doesn't have to be a specific thing. It's a demarcation line of a government. That's why you see the plains there. And I'm going to prove this if you go when you file the series, because it's always been that way until a certain event happened. Oh, it gets deeper. Oh, I'm going to prove everything I'm saying, because Canaan is what they're called the subarctic, which is Canada, which is the area of the Holy Lands I showed you earlier, because up here, where my little red dot is, right, is where, you know, you can get right up in there to Mount Meru. You can also sail on to it through these up here. All right, so when they were coming down from there, and then Canaan land came down up in here. And then that Canaan land came all the way down. As a matter of fact, the plains, a little bit like Canaan land. And then there was a dividing of that. The northeast was Cush, southeast was Cush. The northwest was the father, Ham, and all of that. Now, California is the middle part. It's still a part of the northwest, but it still acts as the middle and the southwest, because lower California on maps, southwest. Upper California meant northwest. They had Upper California and Lower California. Are you guys following me? Can y'all see this? I'm making too much.
Islam.
Islam.
All right. This is a real map now. This is not some made up ass map. You know what I'm saying? This is what it looks like before, when they want to divide the land. That's what you do. All right. Let's move on to the other side over here. All right. So let's look at this on page 3. Right? Or even there. Let's go on 47. The Moabites of the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs. Now the pharaohs were already there because of Ham. And we just went through that. All right? To settle and inhabit Northwest Africa, right up here. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. Now look where he tells you the present Moroccan Empire, their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast, boom, boom, right here. This is later, still part of Cush's land, still part of the same family. But now that the Moabites, and when you go read page 3, right? Joshua, who were driven out of the land of Canaan, which is up here, and received permission from the pharaohs, which is all the way down here. Hold on. All the way down here. Showed you the pyramids in Mexico and all that. All right. Who received permission from the pharaohs to settle in that portion of Egypt in later years. Now, where did they settle after they got kicked out? Hold on, y'all. Let's look at page 3. Where did they go? So Joshua then kicked them out of Canaan land, which is really much all this kind of up in here, where the Anazi and all that was. But anyway, Joshua kicks him out. Whoa. They come on down to where? Egypt, down up in here. And then they did what? And it says, right? They settled there for a while. Who knows how long that is? Enough, smart enough, long enough for in later years, they formed themselves kingdoms. So smart enough that they was there long enough, they understood how to form kingdoms. These kingdoms, with an S, are called this day Morocco, all the way over here to the right. Okay? Algiers. So they was over here in Egypt, then they went northeast, boom, with they folks, wham. I'm gonna prove this to y'all if we can get there, because I am like taking way long. I'm really trying to get that's part before we shut down. All right, so Morocco, Algiers, dribbling all this, boom, boom, boom. Mauritania, Mansa Musa, Mali, all of that.
And then once you see in a minute what was right here, it's going to blow your wig back. Because remember, if Egypt was here and all of that, where the Moabites got kicked from who? Joshua. So that means who else was here? I'm going to stay. Please, somebody answer me quick. Piece it together. If Joshua.
Jesus.
Okay, that's right. Jesus and Joshua. Who else? Joshua. Who else? Who?
Ham.
Come on
Noah.
now.
Ham.
Can somebody give me a brief line of who? Genealogy of where Jesus was from. Of Jesus. Somebody give me the genealogy, that brief line. And
Abraham, Boaz by Ruth.
Come on now. Everybody was here, huh?
Jesse, King David, Solomon, Hezekiah, and Joseph.
There you go. So piece it all together. Don't half play this thing. That means the Hebrews, or what they're considering to be the Jews, was here. All right? Now, remember, northeast. Remember all that. And then later, after they kicked it here, boom, the folks over here with them decide to go form themselves kingdoms. Are y'all still with me? Because that's what I'm following the prophet. All right, now, let's go. Let's see. Any questions? Any questions? Come on now. Y'all got some questions? No.
So, the question is, that little plains, that's the demarcation line you said earlier?
Okay, Blackfoot. Mm-hmm. So where you get, that's right. And here it is still right here. Okay. This is where you get the mixing of our Asiatic brothers that join, and what did the prophet said? And then in later years, they're brothers from the holy lands of Canaan. Joined them, Blackfoot, Crow. And they became these people. Are y'all with me? I'm trying to tell y'all something now. Okay, here this what they're calling all this. Remember, this was Asia. And all they had to do was come over here from the Bering Straits of Annie, what was Asia, and what you consider the Tartarians, Russians. That's why I showed y'all brothers was Russians, Asians, all came over here. And the Inuit, what they're called the Inuit Indians, look just like the Indians. No, those was all Canaanites, Hittites, the prophet was speaking about. And in later years, they joined us. And this is where they came, in the demarcation line area. Because this was already taken. This was already taken. The southeast was taken, the eastern woods was taken, and the northwest coast, which considers the plateau, California, southwest Mexico, was already taken. Are y'all with me?
Islam.
Okay, and over here to the right is a map. It's a halfway good one. I want to show you Mongolian Empire. It even stretched all the way over here, to which I'm talking about right now. Your brothers from the Asian, the Holy Lands came and joined you. That's why you get those people looking at Asians all here. All right? Okay, so you guys got to really understand this part. This is still the Northwest. Who cares, Blackfoot? I don't care. I don't care, man. White cloud of the, dripping white cloud, homie. I ain't with none of that. Northeast, Northwest, I'm Ham, Moroccan, all the way down here to the Southwest, all that Mexico, call it whatever you want. The prophet got it in my book. That means it's all my land. In the Eastern, Northeastern, Southeastern, they just left off the North. And then you get all over here, right? The mound builders. Where the prophet said, one we used to live up and down the Mississippi. Why? Because of Cush's people that came down here, Ham, Cush, Mizraim, building mounds, building temples, building pyramids, all the same people. I just read you the archives in the Congress when they said they were all the same people. They want to split you up in the Blackfoot. They want to split you up in the Chippewa, Algonquians, which are, one of the first. Algonquian actually means Ali, so that's cool. Iroquois, which really mean Cherokee. Here they are up here. But all of that was very important because these are the Barbary, and they eventually called what? It's the Barbary coast. Why? Because of, once again, from Kush, northeast, southeast was always this land. And then they did what? Migrate over years. We intermixed. Certain people's family wanted to take off and do certain things because they was mad at the next Testament people because they had a little argument. So they was brothers and sisters. They didn't want to hurt them. Once they went way over here, then we're going to be the Chippewas, man, and kick it over here. And then later on, remember Baja? Remember Baja? Remember Baja? Red Sea, crossing the Red Sea. Hey now, loving this stuff.
Islamism.
Okay, so Kush, the dominion and habitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa, America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands. So here we go. On the northeast, it's right up in here, what they're called the Hawkins, Cherokees, what they're calling the Delaware Moors. Anybody know where the Sundry Moors are at? Anybody know where the North Carolinas?
Yes, sir.
So all of why? Because it's always been Kush, and they eventually became, which is known as the First Nation people, the Alis or the Algonquians, or the Micmacs, or whatever you want to call them. First Nation people, Cherokees, Iroquois, or Kush. Know with me? And here it is, distribution of the barbarous tribes, barbarous meaning Moors, of the land I just showed you. Right here. Oh, this is the Barbary Empire over here. Okay, so who was over here? The Iroquois. Now you guys listen up. This is a very important part. I know it's a little long and we're only got like 10 minutes left. But the Iroquois had a confederacy. There was Cherokees, Iroquois, certain Mohicans, which is Mohawks, coming from Moor or Mo Con, who came over here in the 1300s with elephants and all of that, my friend. Okay? And that's where they get the term Mo from, and where we get Moor from. Hawk means Horus. Why? Because Tamari land was here, which is the original name of Egypt. The Mound Pyramids area, the land of Tamari, the beautiful land, the land of the Moors. And it was the Hawks. So they mixed Mohawk. They became Mohicans or Moroccans, Mortacans, all that. But anyway, so the Iroquois, it's a confederacy. And this is where you get the first America. You remember the Confederacy? It's going to become very important.
Yes, sir.
Who was a real confederacy around here? All right, so the Iroquois had a confederacy. Just remember that. And the Cherokees. All right, so quickly, Ham's son Kush domains was Northeast Africa, America, known as the Ali or Algonquians or Hammatites, who were the Egyptians, where they built pyramids, pueblos, fort region cities, and mound colony villages, and buried their dead in sacred mounds. And built pyramid structure, pueblo mound cities, and circle mound temples in that portion of the land of Egypt. Mount effigies, sundry more, made up Mississippi Valley and Ohio Valley, and they used Afro poems for their unique hair textures, signature to the Carolinas, signature to the family of Ham and the Ali people and tribes. Ali people are the Algonquians, or which is known as Ohio River and all those things. And the descendants of Ham migrated throughout the eastern regions to the Carolinas and became known as the Ambri. The Sundry Moors also lived in what is now known as Washington, D.C. That in later years, the Taguakians, or whatever you want, Ali, lived in Ohio Valley, living in a city of Norumbega. Dang, I should have put that in there. In homes with pillars of gold, become the First Nation people. Now, there's an article of a mysterious city called Norumbega, right? And they're like, oh, this is a fantasy city, but I found the whole city, and I found the real pictures of it. It was right there in the Carolinas, and it said, and you can go look it up right now on Wikipedia. It said that these people lived there, and they were extremely wealthy, huge, and their necklaces were gigantic pearls, and diamonds, and their homes were laced with gold, and they lived in, everyone lived in gold homes, and it was right there in the North Carolina, and it was off the hook. I found it somewhere in that area, and I found the real pictures and everything, and I didn't put it in here for you guys. Sorry about that. Okay, so the Northeast land of Kush, Northeast mound builders, Algonquians, Iroquois, Cherokee, etc., became the Confederacy and eventually the United States of America. All right, so to my left are all the mound buildings, in other words, pyramids that were built there by our people, and they've taken position and everything. But the pyramids were everywhere. We had civilization everywhere. It was awful. Okay, over here to the left is I'm gonna let that run for a second. And it is a representation of how they just continued to take over your landmass as time went on. New Viceroy of New Spain means Mexico. Okay, don't let them fool you. Now remember that middle part, right? That was the demarcation line where all your folks was. But look at it though. Look at Mexico still, northeast. And over time, as you forgot who you were, they took position. Okay? And they took position. And until it was no longer, you were wiped out of history. And it is now what it is. Okay. Moving on, because I really want to get you somewhere. Oh my goodness, I can't get you there. Okay. I actually said this last time, so I'm going to skip this part. Or do you want me to go over this part? I will read it real quick. He's the capital of the means Africa. The Moabites from the land of Moab would receive permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit Northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, etc. All right, so the key here was what I said earlier about the Red Sea. Now, if the Red Sea is here, you guys, here's the Red Sea over here. Okay, now if the Red Sea is here, everyone, everything else you got to put into play. Moses. Now I'm going to skip up to it. All right. Here's some more pictures. This is 1745 map by R.W. Seal, Island of California, Island of Queen Khalifa, and the Red Sea. All right, so these are real pictures. Over here to the left, rouge means red in French. It's a French map. Okay, or rouge, it means red. All right, so these were real places that were on maps, and they weren't just fantasy. Here's Moses crossing the Red Sea. Okay, in 305 BC. You can see he has the sticks in his hand that are spoken about in the annals of Annie, and where he got at the gates of Tula, which is a representation of Tula, Mexico, and Tula, Mongolia, from where we came over here as giants.